How do you deal with a narcissistic partner when they don't realize they are a narcissist? Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Narcissist Exposed channel, and thank you so much for joining me today. We have a really interesting topic to talk about today, and I think many of you will find it relatable or insightful in some way. So, if you're here and curious, maybe you're in a relationship with someone who displays some narcissistic tendencies, or maybe you're dealing with someone who just seems unaware of their own behavior. Whatever the case may be, I'm glad you're here. Let's get into it. Being in a relationship can be a beautiful and rewarding experience, but when one partner displays narcissistic behavior, things can become complicated quickly. Narcissism, in a psychological sense, is not just a buzzword thrown around to describe someone who is self-absorbed. It refers to a specific set of behaviors and personality traits where someone exhibits a grandiose sense of self-importance, lacks empathy, and often manipulates others to serve their own needs. The tricky part: narcissists often don't realize they are narcissists. They may even believe they're the victim in most situations. When you're in a relationship with someone who might not even realize they exhibit these behaviors, it can feel like walking on eggshells. First, let's break down what it looks like to deal with someone who exhibits narcissistic traits but lacks awareness of it. At the core of narcissism is a fragile ego that requires constant validation. When you partner with a narcissist, you might find yourself constantly trying to reassure them, keep them happy, or boost their self-esteem. Because when they feel unappreciated or not in control, their reactions can range from subtle manipulation to outright anger. This creates a cycle where you may feel like you're always on edge, worrying about whether you've upset them, disappointed them, or not given enough attention to their needs. The hardest part about dealing with a narcissistic partner who doesn't recognize their behavior is that they're not likely to change unless they see the problem themselves. You can try to explain how their behavior affects you, but a hallmark of narcissism is an inability to see one's flaws or take accountability. They may accuse you of overreacting, gaslight you into thinking you're imagining things, or twist the situation so that you're the one at fault. If you've ever been in a situation where you bring up an issue, only to end up apologizing for something you didn't even do, this might be a familiar experience. This kind of emotional manipulation, whether intentional or not, can take a toll on your mental health. You might find yourself second-guessing your feelings, doubting your perceptions, and feeling trapped. So how do you deal with this? One of the first steps is recognizing the cycle. It's crucial to understand that narcissism often stems from deep-seated insecurity and a need for control. While this doesn't excuse the behavior, understanding it can help you approach the situation with a clearer mindset. The person you're with likely isn't evil or intentionally trying to hurt you. They might be acting out of a sense of self-preservation that's hardwired into them. However, this realization alone doesn't solve the problem. Setting boundaries is a crucial step when dealing with a narcissistic partner. This can be incredibly difficult, especially if your partner tends to push back whenever their needs aren't being met exactly how they want. But setting and maintaining healthy boundaries is essential not just for the relationship, but for your own well-being. It's important to establish what behavior is and isn't acceptable. For example, if your partner constantly belittles you or dismisses your feelings, letting them know that this is unacceptable is the first step. Be firm in your boundaries, but be prepared for resistance. Narcissists don't like feeling challenged or like they're losing control, so they might try to guilt you, argue, or gaslight you into feeling like you're the problem. This is where self-care and self-awareness become essential. You need to remind yourself that it's okay to stand up for your needs and your mental health. It's not selfish or unreasonable to expect respect in a relationship. Another strategy is to avoid engaging in arguments that go in circles. If you've ever tried to reason with a narcissist, you might know that the conversation can quickly spiral out of control, with them deflecting blame or turning the situation around on you. It's important to recognize when a conversation is no longer productive and calmly step away. You don't need to win every argument or convince them of their wrongdoings, as this is often a futile effort. Instead, protect your own mental peace by disengaging when things become too toxic or irrational. Empathy is also a double-edged sword when it comes to dealing with a narcissistic partner. You may feel compassion for them and want to help them see their behavior, but it's also crucial not to lose yourself in the process. While it's natural to care about your partner's well-being, their refusal to recognize or change harmful behaviors is something they need to address themselves. You can't fix a narcissist, especially if they don't believe there's anything wrong in the first place. Focus on maintaining your own emotional health rather than being their emotional caretaker. This brings us to the next point. Prioritize self-care. When you're constantly dealing with a narcissist's needs and emotions, it's easy to lose sight of your own. Make sure you're taking time to focus on yourself, whether that's spending time with friends, engaging in hobbies you enjoy, or even seeking therapy to process the emotional toll of the relationship. A licensed therapist can offer guidance and help you maintain a healthy perspective, especially when your partner's manipulation might cause you to doubt yourself. It's also worth noting that not every narcissist is the same, and not every relationship with a narcissist is doomed. Some narcissists, especially those on the milder end of the spectrum, might eventually recognize their behavior with enough introspection, therapy, or external intervention. However, this is rare without them first acknowledging that something is wrong. If your partner shows any openness to seeking help or considering therapy, this could be a positive step. But this needs to come from them, not from you forcing the issue. In many cases, though, the reality is that narcissists rarely change. This doesn't mean every relationship with a narcissist must end, but you'll need to carefully weigh how much you're willing to tolerate. Is your partner willing to work on themselves, or are they resistant to the idea that they might have anything to work on? How much emotional energy are you spending trying to keep the peace or accommodate their needs? If the relationship becomes more about their needs than yours, it might be worth reconsidering whether staying with them is the healthiest choice for you. At the end of the day, the most important thing is to protect your own emotional and mental well-being. Loving someone with narcissistic traits can be draining, and it's crucial not to lose yourself in the process. If you find that no amount of boundaries, conversations, or efforts are making a difference, it might be time to consider taking a step back. You deserve a relationship that respects your boundaries, values your emotions, and allows you to grow. Before we wrap things up, I want to emphasize that dealing with a narcissistic partner is not something to take lightly. It's emotionally taxing, and the most important thing you can do is take care of yourself. Be kind to yourself and recognize when it's time to prioritize your own mental health. Relationships should be a two-way street, and if you find yourself constantly giving without receiving, it's okay to question whether that's something you can sustain long-term. All right, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in and sticking around for this important conversation. If you have any thoughts or personal experiences with narcissistic relationships, feel free to share in the comments below. I always love hearing from you, and I think this is a topic where we can all learn from each other's experiences. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future content. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.